All right, friends. So, very nice to see you all. Um, Today, we're going to talk about USDC higher risk. So, USDC higher risk is a new USDC vault that is coming, or now here, within Lazy Summer, and I'm actually very excited to talk about it. In my opinion, I think it's probably the best stablecoin yield strategy in DeFi today. Um, for various reasons that we'll get into. But basically, what I would love to share is just talk about why did we do this strategy, who it's for, and what you can expect in the future. And what the sort of core framing or core phrase rather that I love to think about it in is um, DeFi's most aggressive strategies or more aggressive strategies made accessible. And that's really the key thing here. So first let's talk about risk. So on Summer, we have lower risk and we have higher risk. And lower risk is really about the tried and true and only the tried and true yields in DeFi. It's your conservative, you're just optimizing like the conservative things that you can do. Higher risk is really about the best of both worlds. So you have exposure to the benchmarks. A really great example in this case is Spark's sUSDS, because as they say, that's like the savings standard. That's totally true. And in some cases, you should have exposure to that. So, for example, if yields are sort of flat across the board, it doesn't make sense to be in a more aggressive strategy because why take on that extra risk to be compensated in the same way or at the same rate? So, I love to think about this higher risk strategy as a barbell. On one end, you have the very conservative, sort of nice yields that are the benchmarks, but you also have exposure to the sort of more aggressive strategies in DeFi. Now, right now, it's yielding about 7.1%, which is cool. It's much higher than the sort of median yield or sort of benchmark yield in DeFi, and a lot of summer rewards because it just launched. So if you're listening to this video on what day is today, the 2nd of June in 2025, then it might be your lucky day. But let's talk about the types of assets or the types of strategies that are in this vault. So as this just launched, a lot of the rebalancing hasn't happened yet, but I want to go through sort of each strategy one by one and talk about why it's in this sort of USDC higher risk vault and what you can expect in the future. So let's start with the benchmarks, the sort of really core true yields that you'll get in like just by its very nature. Like it's the sort of underlying yield here that you can, it's like a fail safe. I think that's a great way to think about it. It's like a fail safe yield that in case yields really compress, you'll always get sort of benchmark yield. And here that's in two parts. So it's fluid USDC, which is giving you optimized lending of like the best lending protocols of a compound, things like that. So as rates fluctuate, you're going to get the best from just like the vanilla lending, which is great. And the other one is Sky sUSD S. In this case, it's USDC, but it's like a one for one thing anyway, so it's okay. And that's known as kind of the savings standard in a way. I mean, it's the one on Spark, but still like that's awesome. So that's really the sort of baseline, if you will, and that's kind of what you would get in the lower risk USDC strategy. Now, where this gets a lot different is the other strategies that it gives users exposure to. So I'll just pick on a few here that I'm really compelled by, and those are three. So Morpho USDC Gauntlet Frontier is more, let's say, volatile, more speculative collateral exposure, which is great. So, they're doing a lot of the sort of risk curation and stuff like that, but to have exposure to a more risk-seeking, more aggressive strategy is something that, I'm personally willing to take on, or at least with a portion of my portfolio. And I think that's great to give to DeFi native people who maybe know what they're doing, but don't want to go through the manual process of, having to switch between all of these different strategies. Now with Lazy Summer, you get automated exposure to the best of both worlds. Really conservative, sort of the benchmark yields, as well as more aggressive, higher yielding strategies without any manual effort. The next one I want to touch on is Syrup USDC, which is Maple Finance's sort of DeFi native institutional lending pool. So you're getting yields, higher premium, like higher yields, higher-ish yields from basically institutional borrowers, and this is just this is awesome. Like, this is something that you would have to kind of go to their front end or some other front end and get access to it, and it would just be kind of a pain to do. But here you're getting automated exposure to Syrup USDC. And the last one I'll touch on is Sky Rewards. So for the first time in a long time, or ever, I believe, formally the Maker protocol is issuing token rewards to customers, to users, for depositing in the Sky Rewards. Now, if you were to do that yourself, the yields there have fluctuated quite a bit. The Sky or MKR, the Sky to MKR mapping price, fluctuates quite a bit. So you'd have to go there. You'd have to, deposit in. The yield is fluctuating. You have to claim it. The Sky. You have to sell the Sky if you want to capture the real yield. It's just a real pain. And now you have all of that automated for you. So yeah, that's basically the TLDR, or it's a little bit longer than TLDR, but of what the strategy is about. It's conservative on one hand. You get the best of the best in terms of benchmark yields, and then aggressive on the other hand. You get more speculative strategies that are higher yielding that you can access. Now, I just want to touch on you'll see here that to some of these it's only partially allocated, and some of them have no allocation, and that's simply because the strategy has just launched and it needs time to rebalance, and which is 100% done automatically, and you can see in real time how these rebalances are happening. So for example, this Euler strategy was rebalanced to this Morpho strategy in order to enhance the rate, or to give users a better rate. So yeah, I think that's basically in a nutshell what I wanted to touch on with this USDC higher risk strategy. Also, as I mentioned before, the strategy is getting Summer rewards. So that's the governance token of Summer, the Lazy Summer protocol. And yeah, I'm really compelled by the strategy. I just think it's amazing. It's it's getting, on one hand, the conservative stuff that everybody wants, or everybody should have access to, and on the other hand, it's giving you a really great exposure to the more aggressive, newer strategies that are coming to the market. And the last thing I'll touch on is that these strategies, this is not a fixed group of strategies. So our risk curator is Block Analytica. So any new strategy that wants to come into this wants to come into this strategy, or into this vault rather, can be proposed, it can be assessed for risk, and it can be added here. So one, for example, that I'm very keen on proposing myself is Athena sUSDE, as we maybe enter a speculative fever in the market. Maybe not. I've been saying that for a long time. It hasn't happened, so not sure. But if Athena yields, for example, on sUSDE go up again, as the demand for leverage for ETH increases, that would be an excellent addition to this higher risk USDC strategy. So yeah, that's basically it. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me and talk about this strategy. It's USDC higher risk, get exposure to the best of the best in terms of DeFi's benchmark yields, as well as automated exposure to DeFi's more aggressive strategies, all in one place.